business advisor. And my co-host is Rico Figliolini with Mighty Rockets digital marketing publisher and the publisher of the Peachtree Corner magazine. Hey Rico, how you doing today?
Hey, Karl. Pretty good. Beautiful day. Thank God the power's on versus last
Yes,
week with
I
the power
know.
outage, right? Before we get into the show, let me introduce our lead sponsor, Hargrave Fiber. They're a great Southeast company that works in fiber optics and IT management, working to make your business sound and be able to communicate with the rest of the world, whether it's your at-home teleworking employees or in office, because COVID is still going on, right? So many different people are working it differently. And here in Peachtree Corners, they're very involved. They're involved with Curiosity Lab at Peachtree Corners. They're involved with the city. They're really in tune with the community, and that's how they are with every community they're in. So unlike the cable guy, these guys are here right in the community they're working in, and if you need them, they're there for you. So any business, whether you're small or enterprise size, they can work the systems for you, provide the office tools that you can work with as well. So visit them at hargravefiber.com and find out a little bit more about our lead sponsor. We're thankful for them. So, cool.
Sounds good. Well, thank
Yep.
you, Rico, for introducing our sponsor. Today's guest is Barry Adams, CEO and founder of Peachtree Awnings, a local small business that's located here in Gwinnett County, and one of the business leaders in the community that we're glad to have as a guest with us today. Hey, Barry, how you doing?
Great, Karl.
Oh,
It's good to be here.
good,
Thanks.
good, good. Why don't you introduce yourself a little? Tell a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Barry Adams, the owner of Peachtree Awnings and Canopies. I own the local shop, and I also own Tennessee Awnings up in Nashville, serves the Middle Tennessee, up in Nashville area, and so we are a manufacturer of custom commercial and residential awnings of all shapes and sizes, and we serve the local Atlanta area, but we go outside of Atlanta too. So we've got a pretty good reach, and we've been in business for 15 years. I started the company in 2005, and then acquired an existing awning company in Nashville in 2012. So I've had that shop up there in Nashville for 8 years now, and 15 years here in Atlanta. So it's been a labor of love. I can tell you that. Any small business owner, I think, would say the same thing. Is that you do it, and you do it because you really are passionate about your product or your service or whatever you do, and you kind of dig in every day, and kind of the same way over and over again.
So I'm curious, did you grow up in a small business family? What did you do before?
Well, that's a great question, Karl. Actually, my grandfather had the entrepreneurial spirit, because I think he had 4 or 5 businesses by the time he was in his mid 40s. A couple of restaurants to his name. Ended up having a landfill this is all in the Southern California area. And so he definitely had the entrepreneurial spirit. My mother's side, my grandfather on my mother's side owned a grocery store in the southern part of Illinois, and so he was both a farmer and a grocer, and so I think I come by it naturally. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and so it definitely was in my genes, I think, to be a small business owner.
So when you were deciding to start it up, what were you considering? How do you come to that decision? What were some of the factors that you considered?
Yeah, I was. It was 2005, and I was in my MBA program, executive MBA program at Kennesaw State, and knew I wanted to start a business, and wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I was working with a business consultant that was pointing me in different directions. I ended up buying a franchise business. I got close with several businesses. I looked at sign businesses. I really tried to give myself a lot of green space and a lot of green field to look at a lot of different businesses. I look at non-invasive skin procedures. I looked at a lot of different things and got very close with sign businesses, but I wanted something a little bit more differentiated And so they said, "How about awnings?" And I'd never thought about awnings, never had really even looked at awnings. But I'm an engineer by education, and so the more I looked at it, I said, I think I can. I think I could do this because you design the product that you end up building and installing, and so it fit my skill set particularly well. And so there in January of 2005, we kind of set sail, having never built an awning or never installed an awning. I bought into a franchise business, and they educated me about how to build awnings and how to install awnings, and so we climbed that learning curve very, very, very fast. So it was really a challenging time. The first 3 years of being in business, of course, the recession started in like 2009.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, it was a little bit of tough sledding there.
I wonder.
I gotta give a little testimonial and shout out to Barry, because I must have been one of the first of the half dozen regional clients that Barry had, and it was beautiful. I think it was a summer. Well, it was definitely a summer day, and you put in the awning that I still have, 15 years later, still working, retractable working, and I'm not a maintenance type of guy, so the cables might be a little rusted and stuff, and the fabric might be a little bit dull, but it's working fine. 15 years later, I guess.
I can't tell you how much we appreciate that too, Rico, because at that stage in our career, we, in our business development, I didn't have any orders and I didn't have any customers. And so you were, every time I came back to the shop and I had an order, it was time for celebration, really, because we did not have any customers at that time. And every time we added one to our, to our stable of customers, we were really, really excited. So great times. Thanks for that.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that first year. Is there anything that you've learned that if you wish you knew or someone told you about in that first 2 to 3 years about business, about being a small business owner, that you would pass on to someone else starting off?
Well, yeah, a couple of things come to mind, Karl. One of the things is I think you can plan to be big, but think small starting out. Think small. I bought used office furniture. I bought used trucks. People want to go. A lot of times they want to have the biggest and best, or newest anyway, the newest and best of everything. And I would say think small. Plan to be bigger, but think small, because you can always scale it up from there based on your success or your volume. The other thing is, of course, be a planner. And I can't emphasize that enough on the small business side. Be a planner, and always be thinking about that next step that you want to take. It doesn't have to be 5 years out there, but it definitely has to be 12 to 18 months out there. And then think about that next step. Think about it like you're, crossing a river, a very, very turbulent river. And you have to step across those rocks very carefully as you cross from one bank to the other bank. Mm-hmm. Now, once you start in cross the river, you can't go back to the other bank, right? That's not an option. So I often say it's not about making all the right decisions. It's about making the decisions that you make right. Mm-hmm. Once you make a decision, don't worry about whether have I made a right? Try to make it right, and you're not going to make every decision 100% right. But I can tell you that if you're making 9 decisions out of 10, or 80 out of 100, or 90 out of 100 correctly, you're going to be in rarefied air, right? You're going to be among those small business owners that are really, really super successful. And so it's not about making all the right decisions, and don't agonize over, once you have the information that you have, and frequently it's incomplete, right? We don't have the the benefit of having all the puzzle pieces in front of us. But once you got enough information to make the decision and then go about making it right. So,
it's interesting to talk about decision making. Even at the beginning, what would you advise people that are struggling with actually making this? Forget right or wrong, but a lot of folks can't even make the decision to buy that business, start that business, grow, invest, make that hiring choice. How do you get through that?
yeah, you're right. That is probably the toughest decision because you're now you may be leaving something that's safe and secure. You may be leaving an income that's a known quantity, and which I was leaving something that was very insulated and insular, and then embarking on something that's very uncertain and very unknown, and that's a very scary thing. Um, you know, I think it's important to make sure that obviously that you're well capitalized. That you are not embarking on something that you can't sustain through the most difficult period of your business tenure, your business career, and you got to make it through that first 3 years. And I can tell you factually that I didn't take a plug nickel out of my business the first 3 years that I was in business. Now that's a very, very difficult. Well, how did you do that? Well, make sure you're well capitalized and that you can sustain yourself. You can get real skinny, for a period of time, but you still have to put food on your table. You still have to pay your mortgage. And so you have to, from a personal standpoint, make sure that you can sustain yourself through those first 3 years and plan really almost to the effect that you're not going to take an income for that first 3 years. And what does that look like? Can you sustain yourself through that first 3 years without taking any money out of your business? Because there's a likelihood that you're going to have to, anything that you make, you're going to have to plow back into the business, particularly in that first 3 year period of time. So
that makes a lot of sense, and that's good advice for folks. You mentioned that you got an MBA. What effect and impact do you think that have? A lot of small business owners don't get that formal business education. Do you think that's impacted how you approach your business?
Well, first of all, getting my executive MBA at Kennesaw was definitely a catalyst to me starting my business. I think the genesis of me starting my business began as I embarked on that program, and so it was definitely a catalyst for me. I think I pull some parts or pieces of my MBA program every day, sometimes unknowingly, but I draw on that experience. I think that the best life experiences combine that kind of formal education that you got in the classroom, and you can go back as far as you want, with the practical knowledge that you gain when you're in the field or when you're practicing. And that goes for everything from the first job that you may have ever had in a fast food restaurant or cutting lawns. And so you learn something when you were in the classroom, but that's formal education without practical experience is almost useless, right? It's very antiseptic. It's very institutional, and so you've got to combine the formalized education and instruction that you get with practical knowledge. If you only have practical knowledge, then it had no framework, right? It had no real design to it, and it had no organization. It didn't step you through things sequentially, and so I always like to think that my best my best experience comes from the formalized education that I got, and then the practical things that I learned out in the field or through the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that a lot of folks, when I meet different types of business owners, the ones that have formal education, a couple, what I notice is they've got they avoid some basic mistake things that helps kind of guide them. but also they're also feel more confident and equipped to handle unknowns being thrown at them. So take 2020.
Right, right,
You know,
right.
you're running the business, things are going good, and then how soon did you know something was happening related to coronavirus and so on? And when did you start thinking about the possible impact on your business?
Well, I think everybody, kind of woke up in mid March and said, "My gosh, what's happening? What's happening here?" And it was very uncertain. We want to protect our associate base. We want to protect our families, and then early on, I guess I would say, in the first couple of weeks in April, about 30 days after we'd gotten into the corona or pandemic environment, that I polled the audience, I polled my associates, and I found they really wanted to work. I mean, of course, they really wanted to work because they knew that their livelihood and income was at risk if we were to stop work for any reason. We were fortunate that we had projects and orders to fill, and so we had work that needed to be done. And so I can't say it was business as usual, but the word that I kind of continue to use with my team and with the people that I talk to is balance. I try not to be fearful of the current environment, in that we still have a job to do and we try to press forward, but neither can we be cavalier about the threats and the things that are happening out in the marketplace. And so we have to have our head up all the time. Just like you're on a ball field, you have to have your head up and on a swivel. Sometimes make sure you're not going to get hit broadside from somewhere, but nor can you be reticent, or you can't be fearful or tentative. And so we've tried to strike that balance. We've tried to protect our associate base when we go out to projects, certainly for sure residential projects. We mask up, and we go when we're in people's homes or around people's homes. We make sure that we're taking the proper precautions. It's not business as usual, but we're pressed forward, and it's not easy. But I think that it's suited my associate population. The people really want to work, and we've been able to make a lot of progress this year, and that's not been easy. So.
We noticed a lot of this year at the beginning. We talked a lot about a bridge plan, and it was just simply when this hit a lot of businesses. What do you do to get through this and power through to excel? And the bridge plan talked about making sure you knew what your break even was and reducing expenses. How do we figure out ways to pivot and increase income with your business, as well as how do you communicate and stay in contact with your customers? But the last two, G&E, was around get working, like just get out there and start. When other people are wondering what to do, the strong are going to figure out a way to do that, and hopefully that leads you to excelling. When you understood what was happening, what were some of the things you decided to do in your business to try to not just survive this, but actually to thrive through it?
Yeah. Well, and we've been talking. We actually moved our shop in this environment. We moved up to Lawrenceville. We moved our shop from Norcross to Lawrenceville. And so there was an opportunity there. The SBA has been helpful, gave us a little bit of tailwind. I always say it's all about the hustle. It's all about the hustle. And I like to think when other people are at home with their feet up on the coffee table, I'm making that last sales call of the day, and my team is making that last sales call of the day. On Friday, when some people are knocking off at 3:00, I'm going from whistle to whistle, and I'm going to go all the way to 5:00 in the evening, and it's all about work and hard work and sweat equity, and the gritty and gutty people in this world survive. And I'm a grinder, and I just don't know any other way around that. And so and in this environment, I think you just need to retrench and look for opportunities. I've tried to be an opportunist, and that's a hallmark, I think, of my business career, is just trying to be an opportunist. And so when other businesses may be retreating, that's a great time to forge ahead, because they may be either pulling back from a marketing standpoint or a sales standpoint. And so going forward, really charging forward, or finding that pathway is really, really important.
So it's interesting as you said that. I was suggesting to some business owners, especially if they had strong businesses going in, that it was a time to double down and reinvest. And there were some simple things. It might be training people. If you were shut down for a month, what training did you never have time to do before that you could implement? Marketing. What a better time to go talk to more customers, communicate, launch campaigns, because that those customers are out there. And when everybody was quiet looking at charts every day, what messages were they thinking about as far as, ways to block, have shade in their backyards and different things like that, and who's communicating to them through that. What are some other things you see people that have really thrived through this and are really poised for breaking out in the future you see doing out there?
Yeah, and you brought up some great things, Karl. Training and education and reinvesting in equipment. Of course, if I go back in my business career now, this is not the first difficult economic time that I've encountered in the lifespan of my business, because as I said earlier, 2009, 10, and 11, we were in the throes of a real recession. And so, again, while other people were pulling back on marketing dollars, I never cut my marketing budget, not one dime. When other people were looking to reduce headcount, we never reduced headcount. Take those people and see where they're going to be best utilized in your business. Be a planner. I'd make a plan every single business year. I do not go into the ensuing year without a business plan. And so this time of year is the heart of my business planning period. And so November, December, when I put my plan together for 2021. And so I will not go into the ensuing year without a business plan. And once I make that plan, while I do make some adjustments, some minor adjustments, and tweak it, the plan is the plan is the plan. And I don't vary much from my plan. When I embark on a direction, and I will tweak it, but I won't make wholesale changes. I will not slash dollars. If I set those aside, there has to be a real catastrophic event for me to change my direction based on my plan. And so I try to stick to the plan that I've created. And we'll make some adjustments, but the plan is the plan is the plan. And I think to the extent that you're able to really stick to that, and that's a discipline, by the way. That's really, you got to be really disciplined to stick to your plan, especially when things get a little bit rocky. And so,
can I ask you, Barry, what? Just to get into the weeds a little bit, just the meat of it, if you will. So this way, because people hear plans and they're not sure what does that mean, what's involved, what's actually in the plan, let's say, for example. So could you give an idea of what that, 2 or 3 points of what that means, as what's in a plan for you? Is it a sales goal? Is it a dollar amount? Is it adding a truck? What's in a plan for you?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's
what is the structure? Somebody were to look at your plan, how would you describe that to them?
No question. I mean, I think it starts with it really does start with your marketing and sales plan in conjunction. You're either going to you're going to look for geographic extensions, you're going to look for product extensions, so that's going to drive your marketing. So I'm going to advertise, or I'm going to push this product forward with my sales team or with my marketing dollars. And then so out of that marketing plan that comes from your strategic goals that I want to grow in this geographic area. I want to grow in this product group, or I want to, I want to reach these customers. And then you create out of that kind of marketing plan comes your sales plan. And so now you've kind of fleshed that out with your team. These people are going to produce this amount, in terms of selling or sales dollars, and then rolling down from that, obviously your expense model. And for us, I say there's not a lot of moving parts and pieces. It's gotten bigger. At first, there was not a lot of moving parts and pieces. There's more than there was, but your expense model flows out of that. And so then, this is not a difficult equation, right? You have sales and you have expenses, and that produces profits. I think Bill Gates said that originally. It's like, let's not overthink this. The sales, expenses, the bottom line is profits, and that's what we're trying to drive. And so, but it kind of starts out of your marketing ideas and where you want to go strategically, and then you can decide what kind of revenue, what kind of volume you're going to create from there, and what kind of expenses you're going to take on.
I'm curious, in your industry, when you typically start to look at where to market, how do you learn what's going on in your industry, your market? How do you know what's going to be things that you need to react to, or things where there's opportunities? How do you, as you and your team, learn new things?
Well, I think you got to be in touch with your sales team. First of all, it was to start out with, it was just me, and so I had to be head up all the time, active in my community, active in the business community, active in my trade association, looking for changes. I really do think about it as a business owners like a ship, and I'm in the wheelhouse, and I'm in the wheelhouse and I'm guiding the ship. Well, the captain has got to be responsible to be looking out there and seeing what kind of weather conditions are what's changing, and the tact of the ship, and that kind of thing. And so as a business owner, I have to have my head up, and I have to be aware of industry changes, of market conditions and market changes, and opportunities for us to make hay while the sun shines. And so as an example, like home improvement in this COVID environment has fared very, very well. People were home for months at a time, and they were not spending money on vacations and going out to eat and theater and concerts and ball games. And so they looked for opportunities to improve their homes. And so as a result, that part of our business has flourished in this environment. And so as the captain, you have to be head up, looking around, active in your community. So many people, I think, so many business owners, they get stuck with their head on the desk, and it's like head up off the desk and eyes forward and see what's going on, and being very, very, very much in contact with what's going on around you.
There must have been a point in your business when you were doing everything, and for you to start being able to work on the business and do that and keep your head up, there was a inflection point where that started to happen. Can you tell us what that was like, and how does someone else know when that's happening and how to navigate that?
Yeah, that's great, Karl, because it takes me back to like 2007, 8, and 9, and I was literally on the ladder. I was on the ladder installing. I think that first year, 2005, I know I did 109 or 110 jobs, and I installed all 109 or 110 of them that year. And I was on those first 3 or 4 years, I was on the ladder installing the stuff that I sold. I think Rico, I think I installed your awning as well. But at some point, I think it was long about probably 2008 and 9, I said, I can't run my business from the top of the ladder. And so there's that continuum, right? It starts out operator. There's operator on one side and there's owner on the other side, and there's this continuum from operator, owner operator to owner. So many small business owners get stuck at that operator phase. They can never even push the needle toward owner operator, right? They just get stuck in that operator phase. And around 2008, 9, I can't run my business from the top of the ladder. And so I started to add head count. I added a sales guy. I added an installer. And so instead of 3 of us, there was now 5 of us. And those are steps that you make, and you're planning for them though in your business plan. You're saying, like, you know what? I think by the end of this year, I'm going to get to 5. By the end of 2009, I think I was at 5 people. And I realized, with a drill in my hand, and a screws and hanging an awning over my head, I was like, I can't. It worked for the first 3 years that I was in business, but then about 8, 9, 10, I was like, I need more help. And then you make those steps. But I can tell you that adding those heads was a part of my plan for that year.
That's an important insight that it to definitely be highlight. The first part that rings so true. Those first 3 years, let's make no illusion, right? It's work. You're an operator. You're doing all of those. If you are operating a small business, that comes with the territory of it.
Yeah.
But then you have to have a plan to move away. It doesn't happen magically. Like, people didn't just drop into your lap and it changed.
No.
The best make a plan to scale that and start shifting through that. I'm curious, what does the future look like now that you've gone this far along? How far do you look out, and how do you start to figure out, what do you want to do, and what do you want it to be in 5 years and 10 years?
Right. Yeah. Right. We even in this environment, we moved into a brand new 30,000 square foot facility in Lawrenceville, Georgia. A lot of our product now has shifted from fabric awnings, which is what people think about when they think about awnings and canopies. Though a lot of our work now is actually metal. We do a lot of metal architectural canopies. We serve the general contractor trade now. A lot more of our work is B2B and not business B2C, not business to consumer, but B2B. And so we've migrated a good bit in the 15 years that we've been in business. But we're in a brand new 30,000 square foot facility. We're going to add powder coating, and I won't get into the weeds with that industrial process, but it's a painting process. A lot of our metal product is powder coated, and we're going to start a powder coating operation in here in Atlanta anyway, into 2021. So that's going to be a big part of our 2021 plan is a separate business unit, Peachtree Powder Coating, that's complementary and dovetails in with Peachtree Awnings and Canopies, as well as the operation that we have up in Tennessee Awnings. So we're going to have a real robust plan, and I'm not planning to retreat in 2021. We're going to kind of keep forging ahead. This will be a product extension, as opposed to the geographic organic growth that we've talked about. So,
Curious about technology and how is technology impacting your business, and how do you incorporate some new technologies? When people think of awnings, has there been a lot of innovation that we're not aware of that's happened there, and there's more to come?
Not a lot of our product is a very, very old, tried and true product. I mean, awnings and coverage, it goes back to the time when somebody, made an umbrella or threw a bear cloth over their head to protect themselves from the elements. And so our product has been around for a very, very long time. As I said, a lot of changes in the products and the materials that we're using in our product. A lot of the product fabric is still widely used, and you'll still see that product out in the marketplace. But a lot of it is now architectural metals. There's been a lot of changes though on the shop floor, things that help us become more efficient, job costing pieces of software. There's been a lot of sales software. We do a lot of rendering now to help people visualize that awning or canopy on their home or business. So we're utilizing rendering software on the sales side. We're using software on the shop floor to help us be more efficient. And that's gonna help us, I think, in the next year to couple of years. Yeah.
Well, one more question: when you see most businesses grow, there's an element that can't be ignored when it comes to people, and what constrains growth very often is people. How do you manage through that dynamic and grow your business with people?
Yeah, that's that recruiting and selecting, I think, is really at the heart and lifeblood of just about every business, not just small business, but every business. And so I've tried to always make a part of my plan the people plan, the recruiting and selecting being a large part of that. We were fortunate when we moved up to Lawrenceville. Now there you go. We're 5 minutes away from Gwinnett Tech. Gwinnett Tech is a great source of fabricators, welders, people with technical skills and expertise. And so what did I do? First thing, within 3 weeks of landing up there, I was on the phone with the people in their fabrication and welding department, and we had the first I say student graduate start this week. And I have another one lined up that's going to start in 3 weeks, so right before Thanksgiving. So recruiting and selecting, extremely important, not just in small business but every business, and that's proved to be very difficult in this environment.
And any tips? So specifically, how do you find the right people in your organization?
I always will say that the best people in our company will continue to come from other people in our company that are already in our company. So quite frequently, I think the best people in our company come from referrals from associates that are already working for us. That's a tough sell. People are doing their jobs, and but if you could pump them for information, this young man who came to us from Gwinnett Tech came from one of the guys who works from us, who is a student at Gwinnett Tech, and he helped recruit this guy and helped us create that little pipeline now. And so that's going to be very, very, very helpful for us. I mean, we use some of the traditional methods too, like Indeed.com, just to give them a little plug. We use Indeed.com, and we get a lot. We have a funnel, and so, but I still think that the best people in our company come from other people already in our company.
No, sure. One last thing I wanted to ask you about, just in the context, I know you get involved in the community a lot. And what role, as a business leader, are there things that you're passionate about, or things that you get involved with, just to help the community in general?
Yeah, I can't stress enough the importance of being a good corporate citizen and pay it forward. And I think that we have responsibility as business owners to give freely to others what's freely been given to us as a baseline. And so I always try to approach my philanthropic efforts, my nonprofit efforts with that as a backdrop. And it's important that you pick 2 or 3 things that your people can get behind. It doesn't matter whether it's Toys for Tots or the Atlanta Community Food Bank or the local chamber, which will funnel you into a number of nonprofit areas. But pick 2 or 3 and make a difference. You might say, well, I'm a small business. What difference can I make? But you can make a difference, and you can make a difference at a level that's that's really grassroots, whether it's a church or a school. Um, One of the things that's near and dear to my heart is a school called the Special Needs School of Gwinnett. My youngest daughter Megan has got special needs, and so up in Lawrenceville is the Special Needs School of Gwinnett, and they just built a brand new school. We're providing cover to their playground equipment because a lot of the kids that go to school there take they take medicine that's sun sensitive, and it may be an issue for them, and so we are providing cover for their playground equipment, and that's something that we're doing. So.
Well, I want to say thank you. You being part of the community, and when I see you're always willing to give time and help mentor other businesses. Your involvement in the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber over the years has been. If there was one thing, if you look at like the Southwest Gwinnett and some of the business that you think as a collective business community could do better to help the community, is there anything collectively that comes to mind that they could be a bigger role in the community?
Well, get involved. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I know that the large Gwinnett Chamber can be a little bit intimidating. That's a big organization, and I'm a member of the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, but I'm also a member of the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, as you pointed out, and get involved. I have a saying, it's never too late to become what you might have been. And we're not dogs and these aren't tricks, that's I like to say that. And we're, so we have a responsibility to our communities. Get involved. Don't sit on the sideline and say, I'm too busy to give back to my community or to be involved or to be active. And so I started that at a very early part in my business career and to be, to see and be seen. And that's not easy when we're already working 12-hour days, but I carve out that hour and a half for the first, the Southwest Gwinnett Chamber's first Friday, which is this week, and so I'm going to always make time for those community activities and those organizations, which actually help you become more visible in the community that you serve. Before you can be a big deal outside of your community, you got to be a big deal inside of your community, or you have to be a little deal inside of your community. And if you're active and looking for those opportunities to get involved, look for your local chamber, look for church, here in Norcross and Norcross Cooperative Ministry. There's lots and lots of places to get involved, and that's gonna help your networking overall as well. So,
well, I want to thank you for that. I'm curious. So, in coming into the holiday season, end of the year, do you have much going on, either professionally or personally? How do you plan on closing out this year?
Well, the fourth quarter is typically our slowest quarter of the year, but we're still blessed to have a lot of project business and a lot of orders to fill. We'll wind it down. I think the city of Atlanta looks for any reason to take a holiday or take a break, and so that block of time, right around Thanksgiving is a nice period of respite for everybody, and certainly at the end of the year. We think of December as having one holiday, but in fact it almost has two holidays because you take Christmas and then immediately New Year's a week after that. And so that the city slows down a lot between Christmas and New Year's, and we'll probably close down that week between Christmas and New Year's. I like to give our associates that time off paid and give them a chance to rekindle, restrike and refresh, and spend time with their families. It's time for us to all be together.
Amen. As to this 2020, I think
turn the page.
Folks could be ready for that. How do folks reach out to you if they wanted to contact, learn more about what you do, and what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Absolutely, Karl. It's it's, www.peachtreeawnings.com or www.tennesseeawnings.com. Both companies have independent websites. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Peachtree Awnings or /Tennessee Awnings. You'll find that we have a social media presence there, and you can see lots of pictures of our current projects. Or obviously you can find us, call us up at our new location. It's 770-498-372.
So, well, I want to thank you so much for, as you said, carving out time to share with
Glad I
us
could do
on the Capitalist Sage.
Yeah.
We want to thank Barry Adams, founder and owner of Peachtree Awnings and Tennessee Awnings, and you'll always see him at a local Southwest Gwinnett Chamber event. Stop by, say hi, could see him there, and just want to thank you so much for sharing some of the insight on your journey to entrepreneurship.
Thanks, Karl. Thanks, Rico. It's good to be
Thank
with
you,
you all
Barry.
and spend some time with you. Thanks again.
Yes.
We
Same
also
here.
we want to thank everybody with Capitalist Sage podcast today. We're continuing to bring you local business owners, local leaders, people in the community that impact the business community and be a place. I'm Karl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors of Atlanta Peachtree. Our business is available to consult with business owners, whether you're looking to improve and grow your business through acquisition, through franchising, or you're working on planning your exit strategy, finding someone that could take the reins of the business into the future. Feel free to schedule a consult with us. I can be reached at kbarham@tworld.com or www.tworld.com/Atlanta Peachtree. Rico, what do you got
Sure.
coming up?
Sure. We have Peachtree Corners Magazine. We're working on the next issue, and the cover story is actually going to be Faces of Peachtree Corners. So we're working through a list of people and students and educators that'll be on that cover story. And like every other issue, there's going to be a bunch of things in it. So we're covering a variety of things that you can look forward to. You can find out more about Peachtree Corners and what we're doing at livinginpeachtreecorners.com. Follow us on social media. We're really big on Instagram and Facebook. Just look for either Peachtree Corners Magazine or Peachtree Corners Life and Capitalist Sage, where you can find the podcast on Instagram as well as our website. So, go out, look for that. We also, I have Mighty Rockets, so do a lot of digital marketing, creative director for several different companies. Full hat of things I do. So if you're looking for video or marketing, photography, content online, podcast production, I was engineering today's podcast, feel free to reach out to me. Go to mightyrockets.com. So it's easy enough.
Excellent. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for the Capitalist Sage podcast. Stay tuned for more episodes. Have a great day.
You too.